Lewis Hamilton has just broken his silence, and what he's revealed about his relationship with Ferrari race engineer Riccardo Adami has left everyone in Maranello absolutely stunned. This isn't just a casual update or a vague post-race interview. This is a 7-time world champion choosing to speak out after weeks of whispers, mounting tension, and public confusion surrounding one of the most scrutinized driver-engineer pairings on the grid. Ever since Hamilton joined Ferrari at the start of 2025, fans and pundits alike have been watching his every move, not just because he's Lewis Hamilton, but because the chemistry with his new team, particularly on the radio, has looked off. Monaco was the tipping point. Miscommunication, vague messages, and silence after the checkered flag when Hamilton asked, "Are you upset with me or something?" and got no response from Adami. It felt like the unspoken cracks within Ferrari had finally been exposed for all to see. Speculation exploded. Was there tension behind the scenes? Was Adami struggling to adapt to Hamilton's style and expectations? Was Hamilton already losing faith in Ferrari's internal operations? Now, ahead of the Spanish Grand Prix, a race that could very well define Ferrari's entire 2025 trajectory, Hamilton has finally responded. And his words have taken everyone by surprise, because instead of feeding the drama or throwing blame, he's done something far more revealing. He's admitted there have been issues, but he's also defended Adami. He's addressed the speculation, and in doing so, he's sent a message that goes far beyond one engineer or one weekend. This is about trust, about leadership, about the fine margins that separate champions from contenders, and contenders from chaos. And right now, Hamilton is walking a tightrope between diplomacy and disappointment. The fact that he's had to publicly clarify his relationship with Adami says everything about the internal state of Ferrari. They're not operating like a unit. They're reacting instead of anticipating. And in Formula One, that's a recipe for disaster. So if you thought this was just another minor misunderstanding, think again. Because what Hamilton has just revealed changes the conversation entirely. Not just about his relationship with Adami, but about Ferrari's future, their title hopes, and whether this team is truly ready to support a legend in pursuit of one final championship. What's happening inside Ferrari right now goes far beyond a simple misunderstanding between driver and engineer. It exposes a deeper, more dangerous flaw in the team's ability to function under pressure. This isn't just about broken radios or missed cues. It's about a systemic failure in communication at the very moments when clarity is most crucial. And for a driver like Hamilton, whose greatest weapon has always been his strategic brilliance, being left in the dark is not just frustrating, it's crippling. Let's put it into perspective. In Monaco, Hamilton was operating under the illusion that he was chasing a podium. The instruction to push wasn't backed by clear context. No position targets, no delta times, no indication of the real gap to the frontrunners. So he did what any racer with that command would do. He pushed, he went aggressive, he used his tires, he changed his rhythm. But all of that effort was misplaced because the reality was brutally different. He was isolated in fifth, far off the leaders, and any chance of catching them had vanished long before the checkered flag. Now imagine being in Hamilton's shoes. You're in a Ferrari. You've just joined the most iconic team in motorsport history. You've sacrificed familiarity at Mercedes, where everything worked like a finely tuned instrument, to take on the most ambitious challenge of your career. And instead of being empowered by that switch, you're left guessing, lap after lap, what the real situation is. That isn't just frustrating, it's devastating, especially for a driver who has built his entire career on reading a race better than anyone else on the grid. And here's where Hamilton's latest statement becomes even more revealing. Yes, he called the media speculation BS. Yes, he defended Riccardo Adami, but read between the lines and you'll find something far more subtle and far more concerning. Because Hamilton didn't say the communication was perfect. He didn't say the processes were flawless. He said they're still learning about each other, still adapting, still figuring things out. 8 races into the season, in Formula One terms, That's a lifetime. By now, Hamilton and Adami should be operating like a single unit. Yet technical glitches or not, the matter is far more significant than Ferrari wants to admit. Because perception becomes reality. And right now, the perception is that Hamilton isn't fully synchronized with his engineer, that Ferrari's internal policies are interfering with the natural flow of information. Charles Leclerc has already thrown his support behind a shared vision with Hamilton. The team has committed to critical upgrades. The FIA has introduced new aerodynamic regulations that could shake the competitive order. And yet, none of it will matter. Not the technical tweaks, not the simulator hours, not the PR polish, if the human foundation isn't solid. If the bond between Lewis Hamilton and Riccardo Adami remains in question, everything else Ferrari builds will be resting on sand. And make no mistake, it is still in question. Because Hamilton's so-called clarification, calling the rumors BS and insisting everything is fine, wasn't the bold, reassuring declaration many expected. It was measured. It was diplomatic. And it left a lot unsaid. Why? Because deep down, Hamilton knows better than anyone that relationships in Formula One aren't repaired with press statements. They're repaired with results, with cohesion under fire, with the kind of intuitive understanding that turns milliseconds into victories.